Hello, everyone, and welcome to Immigration Talk Show. I'm Nipasa, your host for today, and I'm very happy to have you all join us. So, folks, before we have our guest of for today's discussion, I have this very important disclaimer, and that is by watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. So, folks, a very warm welcome once again to Immigration Talk Show. We have a very important discussion lined up for you. Yes, today we're going to discuss about the March 2025 Visa Bulletin, which released a couple of days back, and it's bringing updates and challenges for those in the U.S. immigration system. So we're going to discuss about that. And yes, to help us break it all down, I'm very, very happy to welcome back our very well known expert in immigration law, attorney Prashanthi Reddy from the law offices of Prashanthi Reddy. Prashanthi, so good to have you back. How are you doing?
How are you?
I'm good too, Prashanthi. Thank you so much for joining us today. And how has it been lately for you? Otherwise, you must be very busy with H1B season coming in and also so many changes with the new administration as well.
Yeah, it is a challenge. And, I'm on the phone most of the time because I have so many phone calls. People worried about their status, unsure about what the new laws mean to them. So it is a kind of a roller coaster kind of time. So, you know, we just take one day as it comes and hope for the best.
Absolutely. And well, it's been very amazing and very fascinating that. So sorry. Excuse me, my throat still hurts, but I was going to say I'm very excited to speak about the March 2025 Visa Bulletin. There are some changes and interesting ones as well. So definitely we have some questions. So I have this first one. How should Indian applicants, interpret the slow movement in the final action dates for family sponsored visas, and what strategies can they adopt, while waiting?
So maybe, Nipasa, we should first go through the visa bulletin for those who haven't had a chance to look at
Sure.
it.
Sure,
I was
Prashanti, you
thinking
can
we
go
should
ahead.
just, okay. So, to start off with, the visa bulletin for employment-based visas, um, USCIS has said that they look at the final action dates. So unless your priority date is, um, before that the priority date in the final action date chart, you cannot file your 485. For the family-based cases, they're still looking at dates for filing charts, which is good news. That means there's still some scope for forward movement in the family-based case. So that's why they're still looking at dates for filing charts. Dates for filing charts. So with reference to final action chart for employment-based, let's go through the different categories and see how much movement there's been. So for EB2 and there's been a forward movement of 6 weeks. For India. For EB2 China, there's been a forward movement of 2 weeks. This is all for the final action date table, since we can't look at dates for filing. EB2 worldwide moved forward by 6 weeks. EB3 China advanced by a month, and EB3 other workers India also advanced by 6 weeks. And Philippines advanced by 5 weeks. All other countries for EB3 advanced by 2 months. So as you can see, there's been a good amount of forward movement of 6 weeks for EB2 and EB3 India, as well as EB3 other workers India. And there's also been some forward movement for China, forward movement for EB2 worldwide, and Philippines also has moved by 5 weeks. So that's in the nutshell what happened in the March visa bulletin. We can take up the first question, like you said, was
Yeah.
the slow movement for the final action dates for family-sponsored visas. Um, yeah, I mean, the family-based visas, yes, there has been a slow forward movement, but some categories have shown some promise and a certain amount of forward movement. What strategies can you adopt? I would say stay prepared. Keep all your documents ready so that when your date does become current, you're ready to immediately file your 485 because it may not be current the following month. So you have to be ready to file your 485 in any given month. So make sure your birth certificates you have, your non-availability certificates you have. Make sure you're able to get your medicals on time. So scope out the places that will actually send medicals within, a week or two. And keep watching for your priority date. Look every month in travel.gov under the visa bulletins for your particular month and your particular date and country so that you don't miss out if it does become available in a particular month.
Prashanthi, for giving us an intro to what we can expect. And folks, I would like to tell you that you can also participate in this discussion by calling us on this number 425-436-6335, and the access code is 988-888. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon and follow us. Our channel is Immigration Talk Show. Subscribe to us at Immigration Talk Show and get in touch with us, friends. Hi, Asim. Thank you so much for joining us on comment. We are going to take your comment very, very soon. But for now, Prashanthi, I have my next question to you. And that is, with the F2A category, which is now marked as current for filing, what does this mean for spouses and children of permanent residents? And how soon can they expect to move forward with their applications?
Well, current for whom? It's not current though for Indian nationals, but it's close to current. It's June, I think June 2024. So pretty good. Very close to being current. Are you saying it's current for worldwide? I haven't checked, and I will check. But with reference to the visa bulletin in general, when once it becomes current, um, it's important, as I said, for you to file as soon as possible, right? Uh, because it may not be current the following year. So you want to make sure that you file it ASAP. And in order to do that, you obviously have to be prepared. Unless you're prepared with all your documentation, you will not be able to file. So while I was talking to you, I'm looking at the dates for F2A. Even for the dates for filing, it's July 2024 for everyone, for India, China, and all chargeability, all countries. For final action dates, it's actually 2022. But the good thing is, since we can use dates for filing, a lot of you should be able to file your case as long as you filed your I-130 in July on July 15th or before July 15th of 2024. So if let's presume that your date is current, then I would say that you're able to file. You're able to get your application ready in the month of February, whatever is left of February. So you have about 10 days in February to get your application ready, and you should be filing your application in the first week of March. In order to do that, obviously, you would need to get your medicals done quickly. You should, if you have not done them already, you should have your birth certificates ready. If you don't have birth certificates, then you should get secondary evidence, such as the non-availability certificate from your hometown, and also you should be getting, your secondary evidence for birth, which is affidavits of support or school leaving certificate, a letter from the priest, etc. Whatever you have to show that to prove your your date of birth. This is great news for spouses and children of permanent residents, which is what F2A is, um, because they'll be able to file 485. They'll be able to, whether you're outside the country or you're in the country. If you're outside the country, you can at least start the process. Um, you know, by hopefully your visa number will continue to be available and you'll be called for your interview. If you're in the country, you can actually file adjustment, which is a 485. And of course, you need all these documents that I just mentioned to file your 485. How soon can they expect to move forward with the application? As I said, if your date is current in March, you can file your application on March 1st. So the sooner the better.
Thank you so much, Prashanthi, for taking that up. And I would like to say hi to Yashwant. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll take up your question. And if possible, folks, why don't you join us on call? Our number is 425-436-6335, and the access code is 988-888. And folks, you can also call Attorney Prashanthi Reddy on her number 212-354 1010, and you can email Prashanthi at reddyesq.com, and go visit www.reddyesq.com to get to know more about Prashanthi Reddy. So, Prashanthi, I have another question, and that is with regard to the F4 category. So, siblings of U.S. citizens. So, has also seen significant delays, and what are the main reasons for this backlog? And do you foresee any improvements in the processing times for F4 category?
No, because there is a huge backlog and there continues to be a backlog for siblings of US categories for all countries, including India and China. And I don't foresee any improvements in processing time because there is so much demand and there's only a certain number of visa numbers available every year. So, as I said, the main reason for the backlog is the high demand and the limited number of visa numbers. So, unless there is some change, and there may be less numbers used up in other categories and they fall down to F4, which seems unlikely, or if there's some legislative new law passed where they increase the number of green card numbers for family based, I don't think we'll be seeing a significant change in the backlog for F4s.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back after the short break on Immigration Talk Show. I'm your host, Nipasa, and with us today we have our guest, none other than Attorney Prashanthi Reddy from the Law Offices of Prashanthi Reddy. So, Prashanthi, it's been a great discussion discussing about the March 2025 Visa Bulletin so far, and yes, we've taken up some questions. We also have more people join us. So, this is on your channel, actually, Prashanthi. Melly Caldito has joined us, and I think we should take it up. So, how about the F3 category, ma'am? They file August 25th, 2015. My room is City. Hello, ma'am. About the F3 category, please, we file August 20th, 2025. My mom is a US citizen. How long to wait, please?
It's difficult to actually say how long the wait will be. So if you're looking at F3, and even if you look at dates for, I mean, if you look at the final action date for India, it's July 2010. And for dates for filing, it's a little better, but not so much. It's July 2012. And for those who don't know, F3 is basically married sons and daughters of US citizens. Um, so it's hard to tell. Sorry, we can't predict exactly how long it'll take. Um, and if it's 2015, then they're working, as you saw, in 2012. Um, and it doesn't move every month. So it's not like every month it moves a month. Yeah, so sometimes there's no movement at all, if you might have been noticing, for 6 months, and sometimes there's a movement, sudden movement of 6 weeks, or 5 weeks, or a few months. So it's very sporadic, and it all depends on demand. And USCIS has said that they have a high demand for this year as well, um, just as previous years. And they've also said that that we will not have as many visa numbers available as last year. So last year we had 160 something thousand visa numbers available, because the basic number is 140 that's available, and then they add unused visa numbers from other categories. So they don't think there'll be much of the unused visa numbers from other categories. So you'll have a minimum of 140,000, but maybe more, depending on how many are unused. And so with the family-based category, it's the same. Um, you know, you we're not expecting a large surplus of visas, so I think the movement forward will be slow and sporadic, unfortunately. Um, and not much you can do other than, hope that there'll be some change in the law, which will then speed up the processing time.
Okay. Thank you so much, Melly Caldito, for joining us with your question. If you could call us also, it would be great. And we have RK also. Hi, RK. Thank you for joining us. RK is asking, why can't DOS can't tell us in February, for example, that between October and January, X amount of green card was issued between USCIS and DOS. They have this information because they used to make the VB, Visa Bulletin.
Right, I don't know exactly why they don't give us that information. They do give us, for example, they have given us the information for 2024, as to, how many numbers were actually available.
Mhm.
But for 2025, they have simply said that what they've said, and I quote, the employment-based annual limit for fiscal year 2025 will be higher than was typical before the pandemic, though lower than in FY 2021 to 2024. We are dedicated to using as many available employment-based visa numbers as possible in FY 2025, which ends on September 30th, 2025. So they always tend to give the information for the previous year, but we don't yet have information for the present year. And I think even with reference to moving the visa numbers, they move them slowly, um, based on every month what the usage is. So I think they're able to, give us a number only towards the end of the fiscal year, because they are waiting to see how many 485s are filed every month, because that makes a difference as to what the visa numbers will ultimately be. And I can discuss that a little bit more in detail. I do have some numbers with reference to the 485s, that the number of 485s that are pending and have been filed, because that makes a huge difference with reference to what the visa bulletin will look like. So basically, every quarter they release these, USCIS releases these numbers. The last time they've released them is in September of 2024. They've released it for that quarter, and they've basically said for visa numbers that are current, the 485 spending for EB2 are range from 13,000 to 36,000 for last year. And EB3, the pending 485s for priority dates that are available were between 9 and 51,000. So you see, even for available cases, there is a backlog. That's 13 to 36,000 for EB2 and about 9 to 51,000 for EB3 cases. So this shows that even if your visa number is available for that particular month, you can still expect there'll be some delay in processing because there are so many cases that are in the backlog. They seem to be, on the whole, slightly less number of pending cases for EB3 when compared to EB2. So if your visa number is available only, say, for a month, you may not get the green card that month if it becomes unavailable the next month, because as you see, there is a backlog that they have to go through. Now, to your point with reference to visa numbers that are pending right now, priority dates that are awaiting availability, there is a huge backlog. For EB2, it's about 900,000 to 1.3 million for EB2. For EB3, it's about 500,000. So you see EB3 again, the number of cases is less when compared to EB2. So you can expect there'll be more rapid forward movement in EB3 when compared to EB2, from just based on the pending cases from last year. Of course, this changes every month, right? But this is, gives you an idea as to what to expect or what the average numbers are,
Yeah.
for any particular month. So you see that there is a huge backlog, continues to be a backlog. So, that's why we're seeing slow forward movement.
Yeah, and he was also saying, RK was also mentioning our monthly just published of the 140K green cards, how much is remaining, just so they can announce. But of course, we don't know why
Yeah,
don't they inform.
right, right. I don't know either. Maybe it's more complicated than it seems.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yes, RK, thank you so much for joining us once again. It's always good to have you. So if you can also join us, and Melly Caldito says, thank you, ma'am, Prashanthi. So let's move on now to our next question, Prashanthi, and this is with regard to the same F category only, but F1 and F3. So for applicants filing under the F1 and F3 categories, how do the dates for filing impact their overall timeline, and what key steps should they take while waiting for final action?
I think we kind of discussed this, the F3 category, through a question.
Yes.
um, what can they expect? I think we kind of discussed this, Nipasa. So we can move on to
Okay,
maybe the
let's move
next
to the
one.
E category, the EB2 and EB3 categories. For India, they continue to experience significant retrogression. So, what factors are causing this delay, and what are the best options, for affected applicants?
As I said, the huge backlog. I just read out a few numbers with pending 485 cases that were published last year, about 900 to 1.3 million for EB2, about 500,000 for EB3. These are cases that don't have priority dates available. And for cases that do have priority dates available, there is still a backlog of about 13 to 36,000 each month for EB2 and about 9 to 51,000. I think for a particular month they had very high backlog. So that's why that 51,000. But about, a few thousands for both EB2 and EB3, even for cases that are pending. So as you continue to see 485s being filed, you will see that the backlog just gets worse because the demand is so high, and the number of the priority date is not available because there's only 140,000, as RK pointed out, every year for them to work with. And if there are 1 million cases being filed, or there's a backlog of 1 million cases, there might be more cases being filed every year, every month. 1 million versus 140,000, you can do the math and figure out why there is a backlog, right? And also in previous years, we had some cases not being like EB1 worldwide, or maybe EB5 or some family-based cases. They were not being, the numbers were not being used for worldwide, so they were trickling down to India and China. So for last year, we had 160,000 available. That means that 20,000 more than the 140,000. That was because of the trickle down effect from the other numbers. And for 2023, we had 197,000 numbers available. So, that's like 50,000 above the normal level of 140,000. This was again due to, because about 6,000 EB5 visas were carried over from 2022 to 2023. Just give you an example of what usually happens. And about 10,000 EB5 visas that Congress allowed to carry over for the next fiscal year for EB5. So, these are the reasons why there were more visas available. There was also trickle down from the other visa categories. And so, we had more numbers available in 2023. 2024, we had, as I said, 160,000 available. I think 2024, there'll be less than 160,000 available because they have said that there won't be as many numbers available as they were from 2020 to 2024. So you see, because of the high demand, there is a definite backlog, and we don't expect to see any changes unless the demand reduces for some reason, and we don't see that happening, or there is some legislative action taken. For example, there have been bills in the past, the Eagle Act, where they have asked for, various things. They've asked for the visa number limitations to be removed completely. They've asked for visa numbers from previous used years to be, that were, not used and went to waste, to be put into the present so that the availability becomes more. So there have been various things that have been proposed, but nothing has happened so far. So that's why we continue to see backlogs for EB2 and EB3 as well.
Right. Right, Prashanthi. Thank you so much for updating us about EB categories as well. I think we should take up more comments from our audience since
Yes,
they are very actively participating. So
yes,
this next
certainly.
one is from Sagar and Manisha. Hello, ma'am. My name is Manisha and I'm from Nepal. I've got my PD February 26, 2024, EB3 skilled worker. What's your prediction? How long do I have to wait more? Thank you.
So EB3 skilled worker, and the good thing for you, you're not from India. Um, so if we look at let's go to the EB3 and look at employment based category 3, all other workers it's 2021 for final action dates, and for dates for filing, it's 2023. Actually, no, it's 2021 as well. So there's not much difference between the two, final action date and dates for filing table. For all other workers, we're not talking about regular EB3, we're talking about all other workers, which is EB3s for jobs which don't require a bachelor's degree. Difficult again to predict when the numbers will become available. Obviously, we're not going to see a jump of 4 years this year unless something drastic happens. And again, we don't see a jump every month of a month, so it's difficult. I can't say that it'll be available in 4 years or 5 years. You know, but something could happen where suddenly there becomes an availability of numbers. I mean, COVID was the last thing that happened, which really drove the dates forward, but we don't want another thing like COVID to happen. So I'm hoping that some legislation, some change in the law happens, which will make the numbers jump forward. Otherwise, I don't see any change in the demand. I think the demand is going to be as it has been in the last 5 years.
Right. All the best to Manisha. Thank you for joining us. Folks, let me remind you that you can also join us on call, and the number is displayed on top of the screen. So please join us 425-436-6335, and when they ask for the access code, dial in 988-888. And also, I mean, Manisha, RK, Meli Caldito, and all you folks out there who've joined us, especially whose questions Prashanthi has already taken up, please do not forget to subscribe to us, hit the bell icon, and thank you, everyone. Next up, we have Nikki G. I have an EB1 with priority date 12 2024. My old EB2 is 12 2018. Now, when I did I-485, USCIS rejected, saying dates are not current. How to fix this?
I have an EB1 priority date of December 2024. My old EB2 is 2018. Now, when I did 485, well, if your visa number is current, then you should be able to file. But again, we have to look at the visa bulletin. I don't know which country you're from. If you are from India, then obviously it's not current. EB1 is still in 2022 for both dates for filing as well as final action dates. But I see what you're saying, that you have a previously approved I-140 and you're trying to port your priority date, in which case then you should inform USCIS. When you got the I-140 for EB1, your old priority date should be reflected in that. If it's not being reflected, then you cannot file a 485. So in order for it to get reflected, you have to file an amended I-140 and ask USCIS to correct the priority date to 2018, that you want to port the old priority date. And that's the way to do it. You have to have an I-140 with the 2018, I-140 with EB1 2018 priority date, and then you file the 485.
Okay. She's currently in India, she says. So does it make a difference?
If you're in India, then you basically are asking for the I-140 to be ported. And then once it's current, then you file an immigrant visa petition through NVC. But for that, you have to show that you have a current I-140.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Prashanthi, for taking this up. And Nikki G, thank you for participating. This next one is from Shriva. This is also on your channel, Prashanthi. Can site visits happen for people on GCEAD?
GCEAD, which means 485. You have a 485 pending and you have an EAD based on that. If you're presently on a H1, that's when site visits happen. If you're on the EAD based on a 485, site visits shouldn't happen, because it really doesn't matter whether you're working or even not working. because if you have a pending 485, you can choose whether you want to work or not. There's no constraints on where you should work, how you should work, terms and conditions, or even if you should work. But if you have a 485 from company A, and if you're not working for that company, then there could be an issue at maybe the 485 interview, where they're asking you if they're questioning whether the job offer in the 485J is valid or not because you haven't started working for that company. But other than that, um, the site visits that you usually see for H1s should not be there for GCEADs.
All right, right. So, do you see EB2 or EB3 PD January 2014 to be current soon?
Uh, January 2014 is a long way off. I don't think it's going to be current soon. I
Thank you
mean,
so much.
in the
Yeah.
sense that I know they are working on 2012, but still, I don't think that EB2 and EB3 um, will move that quickly.
Mhm.
Let's maybe by in the next couple of years. It's difficult to say, really. I'm just, putting it out there, but it's difficult to say.
Speculating,
For
yes.
dates for filing, it's closer because it's 2013, so you're 2014, but it is January 2013, so there is a long move. For EB3, it's June 2013. Um, so it's about, depending on which month you are, um, it could be a wait.
Okay. Shriva, thank you for joining us. This next question is from Abha. What are the predictions for F4 PD July to 2006 for India?
Everybody's asking me for predictions. I don't have, I'm not a soothsayer. I don't have a ball which I can look into and predict uh, what the dates are likely to be. And for those people I know people release videos with predictions and they get a lot of likes, but that is, really, I mean, you can't take it seriously because you don't know. Bottom line is, F4 is, of course, um, the most retrogressed. That's brothers and sisters, and they're working on 2019 cases for India right now, um, and 2006, in fact, for dates for filing. And yeah, so it's not 22. Sorry, it's 2006 for F4. Uh, that's a long wait. And your priority date is July 2006. Um, yeah, so you're closer. Let's see. So July 2006, they're working on August 2006. So we've not yet reached, maybe a few months. Um, what are the predictions? I haven't seen a huge amount of forward movement for F4. Um, I know it's only a month, but wait and see. Maybe towards the end of the year, you'll see some more forward movement if they see that not many cases have been filed. Then you see like a jump sometimes towards the end of the year. That is, end of the year is September. So wait and see because it's only a month. I'm hoping that the date will become current. But again, we don't know for sure.
I'm sure many folks out there are hoping that. But yes, we got some more questions from our Facebook group. So let's take them up quickly, Prashanthi. So this first one is from Sagnik. My previous visa was F1. Have scheduled a drop box for H1B visa first time stamping at Chennai for March 7th, 2025. Do I need to cancel and schedule OFC and interview? My hometown is in Kolkata. Can I schedule for both offices and interview OFC and interview in my hometown. Can I reschedule the appointments now or do I need to wait till March 7th?
So, first time stamping, why? Okay. Why, if you have a Dropbox, why do you want to cancel and schedule for an interview? Um, I don't know why he wants to schedule for an interview, but it could be that sometimes with Dropbox, since you can't submit a lot of documents at the Dropbox, they are, sending out administrative processing 221G notices to Dropboxes, uh, and then asking questions or asking for documents. So in order to avoid that, if you go for a personal interview, then you can submit documents, on demand. Go with the proper documents and submit them. I mean, mostly they're asking for end-client letters or contracts, etc. at the consulate. They're also calling the clients to find out whether the job is actually available. They're contacting the employers to find out if the job is still available. So we're seeing a lot of 221Gs. Um, you'd have to cancel one. You have to cancel one visa before you schedule for another visa appointment. So I think that was the only question that they had.
Yes. Thank you, Prashanthi, for taking that up. Now,
And you
this
can
next
schedule
question.
it, you can schedule for an interview anywhere. It doesn't have to be hometown, it could be any other consulate that's close to you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prashanthi, for taking that up. Control, if you can tell us what's the next question, please. I dropped my passport on January 31st, 2025, and mine is H1 renewal. On 11th February, status changed to refused, waiting for passport to be returned. Is that due to the new rule? What will be my next step? Usually, how many days it will take to get my passport back? Any suggestions, please?
Uh, well, as I said, there have been a lot of 221Gs issued. Refused basically could just mean that it's gone into administrative processing and they're not immediately giving you the visa. But it's possible that they can give you the visa upon conducting their investigation, and doing their background checks, to see if the job is available, client is available, etc. So it's possible that they can still give you a visa. It's just that immediately, they've refused it, at least temporarily. That's what usually refused means, unless the 221G was refused, in which case then the refusal is permanent, and then they might send back the H1 to USCIS, and USCIS might send a notice of intent to revoke, at which point then the employer will be able to respond. They usually have 30 days to respond.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking that up as well. The next question, please control if you can display it. Okay. I am reaching out to seek assistance regarding and I have encountered while to start a new application. It appears that my profile details match existing record and preventing me from proceeding further with the application process. Since I have no longer access to my old email ID and profile, what are options open in this situation? Any guidance?
I think what they're asking here is, I'm not sure what exactly they're asking, but are they asking for filing a new application? They want to get access to my USCIS website.
I think yes,
Maybe
it's
that's what it is.
mhm.
Um, I mean, you can use a new email address to open a new account. If you already have an existing account with an old email address, you need a new email address to open a new account, which you can certainly do.
Right. All right. So the next question, please, control. This is from Darsh. Hello, I had H1B Dropbox for 13th February today, and when went there for Dropbox, they denied and told there are changes in regulations on 10th February, and not I would need fingerprints and interview. Is anyone familiar to this scenario? I think he's talking about biometrics. Is it
Yeah, they
necessary now?
denied and told me that there are changes. Uh, I would need fingerprints. Yeah, I've heard this as well. Uh, and I've heard that, Dropbox, I mean, Dropbox is still available. I've not heard otherwise that Dropbox is not available. But, even with Dropbox, the officer has the right to call you for an in-person interview. And I'm seeing more of that happen. So that's what must have happened.
Okay. All right. Next question, please. Or okay, I think that's done. So this is Sarmat. This is on from our viewers. I'm going to submit my perm. Currently, they are processing October 2023. Do you anticipate the process time to increase?
The problem is under the Trump administration, they don't care about, how well they process it. They don't care about adding resources. They're basically against any kind of immigration. And in his last term, we saw processing times really skyrocket because they really cut down the staff. They did not hire new people. This is at USCIS, and the same thing might happen. We're seeing a lot of federal employees being laid off as well.
Mhm.
So from that point of view, yes, I think processing times for labor certs could increase. For that reason, also, DOL usually becomes more strict under certain
Mhm.
administrations, and also they become more strict when there are more layoffs. And when that happens, then audits increase, denials increase, and that also, causes your processing time to go up.
Mhm.
So yes, you can expect in the future that processing times, might go up.
Yes, plus there's so much vetting processes also going on. I think
Right.
themed things will be held on for quite some time. So, Prashanthi, before we go, if you still have some more time for one more or a couple more questions, I wanted to ask about the religious worker category. It is set to expire in March this year, 2025. So, what would happen to pending applications if no legislative action is taken? And are there alternative visas for religious workers?
Um, I mean, you could use the visas that exist, which is the H-1B, provided that it's a specialty occupation, which it may not be. So that's why religious workers are a niche category because they are very unique in what they do. So they might not be other visas that unless the particular job requires a bachelor's degree in a particular field, and if it's something like that, then it could be a be you could possibly file a H1. If you belong to a different country like Australia or Canada, you could possibly file a TN. Again, if you meet those requirements, which may not be for a lot of religious worker um, jobs. So let's hope that they extend it again because uh, it is religious worker is always for a set period of time, and then it is extended. So let's hope that it gets extended again.
About the DV visas, the diversity visas category, which remains current for all regions right now. So, what advice would you give the applicants who have been selected in the DV 2025 lottery and, but maybe they are unfamiliar of what to do in the next steps? So, any tips for them?
Um, File for adjustment as soon as you can if you've been selected. That's the only advice I have.
Thank you so much, Prashanthi. Also, what policy changes or legislative actions could help address the ongoing backlog for Indian applicants, maybe across both family and employment based categories? So, are there any potential reforms in the horizon?
We are waiting to see what happens this year. There have been many bills that have been introduced previously, but didn't see the light of day. So let's just wait and see what happens this year.
Yes, we'll really have to wait and watch because there are a lot of changes happening. And also, I mean, you must have heard about the 20 judges who were, fired just recently. Well, how do you think this is also going to impact the immigration scenario? Is it going to add to more backlogs, or you think it's, I don't know.
Well, immigration judges, luckily, they don't process USCIS cases. So it will increase the backlog for asylum cases, removal cases, those kind of cases, but not cases that are processed by USCIS.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Prashanthi, for your time today, and it was great to have you. So, maybe any end notes for folks out there, especially with regard to the visa bulletin for March 2025.
If your dates are current, please file your 485 immediately. Make sure that you file with your medicals because you can no longer file without. USCIS has said that they will reject all applications that are filed without medicals. So make sure you have all your documentation before you file.
There you go, friends. All the best. And Prashanthi, I hope that I'll see you soon again with another very interesting topic to discuss.
Sure, see you next week.
See you, Prashanthi. Have a great day ahead. And folks out there, thank you so much for joining us. In fact, you can also contact Attorney Prashanthi Reddy from the law offices of Prashanthi Reddy. And every case is different, so it's best you email her directly about yourself and ask your questions. So her email address is prashanthi@reddyesq.com. And her phone number, by the way, is 212-354-1010. And you can also go visit www.reddyesq.com to get to know more about Attorney Prashanthi Reddy. Also, friends, don't forget to subscribe to us at Immigration Talk Show. We are on YouTube, and also hit that bell icon so that whenever we have discussions, you're also notified. Also, check us out on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and on Instagram. We are there as Immigration Talk Show. Follow us, connect with us, and stay in touch with us. This is it for now. Have a great day ahead and stay tuned on Immigration Talk Show because we will be back with more. Bye for now.